Well, Goombas, we've done it. What's going on, Goombas? I hope you're all doing well today, and we have completed the writer's journey. Now, this is the third edition of this book. There is a fourth edition that has come out in the last year or two, I believe. So there's probably a few extra sections in that one that I need to get my hands on it if I want to read it. But 370 pages completed. I have finished this book. This is the mammoth of storytelling books, so it is such an accomplishment to actually finish it. And it's not easy to read something that's similar to textbook writing style when you're not in school. You know, if you remember back in high school or college days when you had to read a textbook, I mean, come on, like reading that on your own is not easy. So this is a big deal to me. It was, I'm just feeling good. I'm feeling good. So we're gonna go over the final notes of the book. There's not many of them to go over. I think there's only a few pages to go over. But these are the final notes I took. I actually took them all in one day because I was just so excited to finish the book. So I read through it, and there wasn't much to talk about. There's only a few points I wrote down. It's only like 3 pages. So we're going to go over these final notes, finish this the notes on this book off. And I really hope that if you watch this series all the way through, that you enjoyed it, you learned something. Grab your own copy of this book. I am telling you, it is the most influential book on writing you will ever read. Thinking I'm going to read To Be Save the Cat next, because I think that book's just going to go well right after this book. So I'll probably do that one. This is my notebook. I think that one's going to go well with the writer's journey. I think there's going to be a lot of notes that coincide, and you're going to see how they connect. And there's a few other writing books I own. I have like close to a dozen different books on writing. So this series ain't ending. I'm gonna keep journaling on writing, and I'm gonna keep sharing my notes with you guys. And I hope you enjoy them as I go, and I hope you learn something as I learn stuff. And let's just all become better writers together. And comment down below if you have a book in mind that you're like, yo, this is the best book I've read on writing. Then please let me know. I'd love to hear it. So let's dive into the notes. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's finish this off. Catharsis, the point of drama according to Aristotle. A sudden release of emotions that can be brought about by good entertainment, great art, or probing for psychological insight. I actually love this because it's going to go into this a little more, but this is controversial to some people, but some people believe that art is objective. And I don't know if I can agree with that personally. There's a slight subjection in art. There's a little bit of opinion in it personally, I believe. But I also believe that we all have an inner compass that tells us that there is good art, such thing as good art. Like, have you ever watched a movie where you were like, this is just a bad movie? And unanimously, everybody in the world would say this is an awful, terrible movie. Like, it was just, badly funded, bad acting, maybe the character development was just really dumb, and the plot was stupid, whatever it is. Everyone thinks this is an awful movie. Is there going to be someone out there that argues, well, it's art to this person, so it's still considered art? I don't know. I don't know if you can call it art. If unanimously, millions versus one say that it's not good. And that's a little controversial, and I'm not looking to debate about that, but I personally don't know if I would call that art. I would say art is something that gives you a cathartic feeling, something that gives you a release of emotions, or a physical release, like tingles up your spine and like shivers and joy, and it puts a smile on your face. Like, that's art. Art is something that can make you feel a certain way, whether that's in story form, that's painting, that's music, that's dancing, whatever it is. Art makes you feel a certain way, and if it's not causing anyone in the world to feel a certain way other than cringing, then I don't know if I would call it art personally. Catharsis was a medical term in Aristotle's time for the natural process by which the body eliminates poisons and waste. It comes from the word katharos, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which means pure. So a catharsis is a purification, but it can also be a purgation or a purgation, purgation, a vomiting up or violent expelling of impurities. I love that, the way he says that, a vomiting up.
Whoa, my bad.
Like really throwing it out there. It makes me think of the story of Jonah, when Jonah is vomited up by the whale onto shore, and then he goes to preach to the Nineveh people. In the Poetics, Aristotle used the term catharsis of the emotions as a metaphor, comparing the emotional effect of a drama with the way the body rids itself of toxins and impurities. The emotional effect of catharsis, a feeling of pity and fear evoked by watching the unfolding fate of a hero. Today, the psychological community has adopted the word catharsis to mean a therapeutic process in which repressed thoughts, fears, emotions, and memories are deliberately brought to consciousness, triggering an emotional release or breakthrough that is supposed to relieve anxiety and relax tension. Wow, what a definition. There's an emotional release, but by the end, it relieves anxiety and relaxes tension. So it's when the tension breaks and all hell breaks loose. But then things come back to a sound moment. The secret of drama may come down to control of the audience's breathing. For through the breath, all other organs of the body can be regulated. And basically, when you can cause someone to catch their breath or to hold their breath or their heart to pound or, anything like that, that is good storytelling, when you can cause the tension to feel that way. And some people might say, oh, that's only in horror or oh, that's only in suspense novels. No, even in a romance, you can cause someone to hold their breath and be like, is he going to kiss her? You can cause someone to hold their breath and be like, is he gonna live? Whatever it is, you can have these same emotions. Yes, it's a horrifying moment because you're feeling horrified, but you're feeling horrified because you don't want the bad outcome to happen. Whether it's someone's about to die or someone's, are they gonna kiss or not, or are they going to accomplish this goal, or maybe they're put on stage and they have stage fright and you're like, are they going to perform? Whatever it is, you could still have those breathtaking moments take place, even if it's not a horrifying story or a thriller or something like that. Sometimes the best way to diagnose or critique your own story is by asking, how did this make me feel? I love this tip. You have to apply this. Ask yourself, reading through your scenes, how does this make me feel? Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad? And then go into that, dive deeper. Did it cause me to physically feel a certain way? Did my blood run cold? Did I have shivers? Did my shoulders rise? Was I smiling? Was I laughing? Was I, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself these questions, because if it's causing a physical experience, then most likely the writing's doing its job. It is, you are telling a story in such a way that someone can feel a certain way physically and not just mentally or emotionally. You're triggering a physical response, which is just on top of the emotional response you want to trigger. That's just as good, if not better. You want those physical responses. Think of when you're watching a movie and it gets really good, how you lean in and you're like, ooh, this part's getting really good. This is interesting. And you're trying to really pay attention, listen to the words, and try to figure out the puzzle of what's going on. That's what you want your story to cause. When people say, this book was so good, I stayed up till 3 a.m. to finish it all. I read 200 pages in one night. That's what you want your story to do. You want your story to have that type of effect on your reader. Now, I will say some stories are meant to be slower. If you read old classics, a lot of them don't always have that effect. It's more of there's more of an appreciation for the beauty in the slow development of a story. It's a different type of story telling format and storytelling style that was used more in the past than it is today. Today, stories are usually quick, but That being said, you can mix them, or you can go back to the old-fashioned way, or you can use what's more relevant today, the more modern, quick-paced storytelling. But personally, I like to have a middle ground. I like to have slow-paced scenes at some points, but keep the story moving. I like to diverge from my plot and talk about other things within the story world to develop my characters and have subplots and whatnot. But I like to also make sure my plot is the main focus throughout the entire story. Whereas if you read old books, some books, first 100 pages have nothing to do with the plot. The plot hasn't unfolded yet. They're just building character. They're just giving backstory. And sometimes that really works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's like, okay, get to the point. Like, this is boring. Other times it's like, ooh, I love how creative that was. I love how beautiful this world is becoming in my head, and it's making this story interesting. So it really depends. So some of the questions you can ask yourself is, did my blood run cold? Did I get goosebumps? Did I hold my breath? Did the story affect me physically or only mentally? And I believe that's supposed to be an A, not an E, in effect. Page 358. The proper pleasure is what Aristotle called a cathartic tale that helped an audience experience both an emotional and physical release. When storytelling is done in a beautiful manner, physical reactions are present. Things like shivers, tingling sensations, or spasms. Think of like, and like those are just examples, but think of like how you like curl your fingers or curl your toes when something's happening in a story, or maybe you're like holding your hands together, or maybe you have shivers going up your spine, or you're like trying to readjust because you feel uncomfortable at certain moments. Those are the physical reactions you want your story to have. You want your story to have different types of reactions. These may seem insignificant at first, but when you realize a poorly written story does not attract these similar reactions, it causes one to wonder if there is an inner grid or compass that tells us how right art is by sending these physical reactions through us. And I talked about this earlier, how some would say that art is art and there's no subjective way around that, whereas I would argue that there is good art. And good art is something that we can tell by the reaction it gives its audience, whether it's a feeling, a sensation, a physical reaction, whatever it is. And then the last note here, trust the path. I am not the first writer, nor will I be the last, but my experience is unique and my perspective has value. Trust the journey, trust the story, trust the path. Wow, what a way to end a book. I mean, come on, that is incredible, is it not? Trust the journey, trust the story, trust the path. If you are a writer like me, you probably have days where it's dark, where it's gloomy, where you feel like writing's just not working. You're wondering, have I even chosen the right career? Should I even be a writer? Is this something I should pursue, or should I go back to, whatever it was I was doing before? And man, I just love this. Like, trust the journey, trust the story, trust the path. It is so good. And I reworded this so it was personal to me, but I loved how he worded the ending where it's, I am not the first writer. Like, if you believe in God, God is the first writer who wrote the Bible. But if you don't believe in God, even so, there have been thousands of writers before us, right? Nor will I be the last. There's always going to be more writers. But I am a part of a movement. I am a part of all these writers, these storytellers, and telling my own story. And my experience is unique, which is incredible. I can tell a story that no one else in this world has ever told and will ever tell. Yes, it's going to have similar elements. Yes, it's going to have similar archetypes and story types and structure, but is going to be unique to me. And that makes my perspective valuable. My perspective on storytelling and stories is valuable. Remember that. Don't forget that. You have value in this world, and you have value as a writer. And if you can remember those two things, that your experience is unique and that your perspective has value, then it just makes it so much easier to trust the journey, trust the story, and trust the path. So that is the end of the writer's journey. I hope that you learned something from these videos. Something. Anything at all. Doesn't matter what it is. I hope you learned something, and I hope that this book has had an influence and an impact on you as it has on me. It has had such an incredible impact on me as a writer. I love it. I will probably reread it someday. But yeah, it was just so good. I'll have a link below if you want to read this yourself. And it is an affiliate link. It does support me. It doesn't cost you anything to click that link, but it does support me. And I would appreciate if you check it out. And it's just going to help you as a writer. If you want to be a better writer, I 100%, 1000% recommend this book. It is just so good. I can't wait to read more about writing and write more notes. This book took 77 pages of notes, and it was 370 pages. So what is that? Like close to an average of 1 page of notes every 3 pages I read. I mean, that just shows you how valuable this book is. There's so much value in this book. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series on the writer's journey and my notes on this book. And I will definitely be doing more series like this. Leave a comment below if you have a suggestion on a book you want me to read next and do journal notes on and talk about and give my perspective on what I write and teach you through my notes. If you like this type of content, please subscribe. You know, it's free. Come back. Please enjoy the videos. And yeah. I'll see you in the next one.